Welcome to the Hype Attack Podcast,
where we weigh in on the latest in nerd and pop culture hype.
We are the head.
We're the excited conversation we all have with our friends
about the nerdy things we love
and geek about. We are
the Hype Attack. I am the hype!
Hey guys, welcome back again to another brand new episode of the Hype Attack Podcast. I'm here once again. I went to announcery with Doug, Jermaine, and all the ones and twos. Rudy.
Yo.
What up?
Howdy. I'm excited, guys. I always love coming here. It makes me happy, even though I'm just dead and sad on the inside. I'm not. But hey, how you guys doing? We have a fun show for you guys. We're finally getting into the spooky stuff. Finally. We called an audible in the last episode. Apologies. But we had Ahsoka to talk about.
Are we really sorry though? No, I'm kidding.
I really wanted to talk about spooky stuff, but here we are. Finally going to get into it. But before we do that, how'd everyone do this past week? What y'all hyped about?
I started a new audiobook. It's called The Fourth Wing. Someone on Instagram had suggested it, and then I brought it up to some friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, other people have suggested it." So I read the synopsis, and it was like, "Oh, it's like this girl going off to dragon riding college, and it's like cutthroat, and it was seemed very fantasy like." And then I saw it at Barnes and Noble, and it was listed as a romantasy, and I was like, okay. And then I remember someone else being like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be open to reading that." I was like, "I don't know, it sounds cool. It's dragon riding shit, right?" All right. So I got it on Audible and I started listening to it, and it's really good. It's a lot of fun. It's I never read any of the Harry Potters or the Twilights or any of those kind of things, and I'm thinking this is kind of where it's going, but it's a college, so they're 20-year-olds, but it's very fucking horny. And
I was going to ask.
You said
what kind of dragon riding?
Yeah. And at first I was a little taken aback because this week I was working at a library, so before the library opened, I had my audiobook going out loud, and there were still the people working there, and I was like, yeah, this book should be fine. And they were just dropping F-bombs and making jokes about using a spell to make guys' dicks bigger and stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And so I was a little taken aback.
Thickest and largest.
I was a little taken aback by it, but then I realized it actually makes it just way more realistic. Because it's 20-year-olds going off to this cutthroat college where you can die any day because the dragon training is super hard. There's gonna be fucking, and it's told from the story of this girl that's smaller and meek. She really wasn't training to be a dragon rider, but she was kind of forced into it. But every time she sees a guy, she's describing what he looks like, and I'm just yeah, this makes sense.
Does anyone?
This is so much more realistic than any of these other things. So I'm really excited. I've been listening to it a lot, and I think they've already announced the second book in the series. So
does anybody compare anyone's dick to a dragon's dick?
No.
Come on, it's right there.
Not yet.
And one of the parts of the story is the dragons have to choose their riders, and we were just joking she's gonna go just jerk off a dragon, right, or something like that, and that's how we'll choose them. That doesn't happen. Spoilers.
Well, it's not realistic. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Before I get too gross.
We're only a couple minutes in. We're nearly there. Jermaine?
I finally watched The Boogeyman.
That horror film that came
Stephen
out?
King.
I was saying in the shower?
Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman.
The trailers look really good.
Yeah.
What you think?
I liked it. I liked the little sand grain of origin we got of the Boogeyman.
Ooh.
And that makes me want more. But with that said, it can be something that you could have in any time period or anywhere, because like I said, of that little sand grain of a origin that they gave it. But the design of it I thought was pretty interesting and unique. I really liked it. Movie wise, like I said, it was a solid movie. It's just, one of those typical movies where the kid sees the boogeyman and he has or she has a sibling and all that stuff, but but the parents and the adults don't think that it's real. But it's just one of those things when things happen when you see it, because of it likes to stay in the dark. So that's when you see the little glowy eyes, and you just know,
classic, love it,
and you just know that it's there. And there's this moment in the movie that I really liked when they said that it doesn't like the light or fire because that was the first thing that that man created fire, light to see in the dark. And I was just like, ooh. But just that little snippet right there, got me hyped. But it's a solid movie. I would recommend watching it.
Good creepy visuals?
It has a few. Like I said, it's just the darkness, and you just know that this thing is there. And then when you see, there's a particular scene where the little kid goes to like the therapist, and she's trying to, conquer her fear of the dark because, she sleeps with the light on. But they have this red light that's slowly flashes off and on, and you're just waiting for it, and you just see this thing in the background. Like, it's almost like Batman just chilling in the back, but then you see it crawl down a little bit.
I'm a fan of like those types of creepy visuals where it's not in your face, as your eyes have to adjust.
Yeah.
Which there's a movie on the list of some of the movies that creeped us out I'm going to talk about that does that exactly. But my question to you is this a movie that you would suggest to people to check out to get in the whole spooky season?
Yeah, like, it's a solid movie. Like I said, I liked everything about it. It had that formula that worked because of, the quote unquote boogeyman. So it's that recipe that fits, and like I said, the visuals of everything goes good with the story. It's not one of those superb horror movies, but I will say this: Kat jumped like my girlfriend. She jumped like 5-6 times.
But she's a scaredy
But she's
cat.
easy to scare. But that tells me, I'm like, oh, this shit got you. This shit got you.
Do you have a bunch of videos up on your page of you scaring her?
She has some that I gave her. So she has a few because I hide in the darkness myself.
Because I got inspired when I saw those videos, and I tried to do that to my wife. And she just like produces a knife out of nowhere. She punched me in the face.
I can see that.
Unflinching. I think I even sent that to you, but I gotta check that movie out. Rudy?
Didn't really do much this last weekend. Oh, I went to a concert, and the main act canceled at the very absolute last second. So that was stupid.
Where was it?
Chula Vista, down by the border.
Long drive.
So that was a long drive for a lot of nothing.
Do you want to name the band? Do you want to give a fuck you to the band?
No. All right, I'm all right. It's fine.
Ooh, him hurt.
It's fine. It's fine.
Like, he's hurt 7 times.
This is fine.
He'll avenge them.
Doug did sit us down and made you watch One Cut of the Dead for the first time. So
Dude.
I was happy to be there again to see that, because from the first watching to the second one, I saw stuff that I hadn't really noticed before, and then just it reminded me how good that movie was.
So fun.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Like, it's a solid movie all around.
I think I enjoyed it. I think I'll make it one of those movies that I'll have to rewatch to do exactly that. I love movies that do that. Shaun of the Dead is one of those movies that I check out, and there's always something kind of pick up on the background.
But in
movie making.
In preparation for today, I did take a spooky dookie, so I feel I'm in the spirit of today's episode.
Right before. Well, it was in the spirit of this. I even told Doug, I was like, all right, I'll meet you in there. Got a shit. And it was just a ghost. Oh. Yeah. It was like, boo. Woo. Like, damn it. But, you're welcome. TMI.
What's the old poem? Here I sit all brokenhearted, came to shit but only farted.
Nicely done. So classy, too. That glass.
yeah.
And
That's going on the gram.
bring it around and back to
Stay
me.
classy, Anaheim.
If I don't have that on fucking Instagram tomorrow, we're gonna have a problem.
Okay.
I love that immediately. Isaac, what are you hype about? What have you done?
One Cut of the Dead that we just saw. And thank you, Douglas, for...
No, thanks to random drunk guy at Phantom Carriage Brewery that's no longer there to stumble up to
What do
me.
you sound like again? Yeah, see, you like horror films?
Yeah, exactly.
So, would you recommend the movie, watching it the way you watched it, not knowing anything about it and just going in?
Yeah, actually. yeah, I was trying to find a way to like how to suggest it to people on my own social media. But yeah, exactly that. One Cut of the Dead. I forget what year it was, but the original Japanese version of it. Don't research it. Just go into it blind.
Just don't get fooled by the false ending.
True. And then a little warning: you might get a little motion sick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I usually watch anything on either my phone or if anything, it's our TV. I forget what size our TV is, but it's not a massive TV, and you have the whole fucking projector out there. And I'm like, front row, and even though I fly FPV, it's like nothing's that shaky. And halfway through, I was like, I don't know if I can fucking hang. And Alva, my wife, is in the background, just like looking away from the screen, trying to distract herself. Other than that, though, that first bit it's not like the full length. Yeah. Then I got through it and I enjoyed it very, very much. Yeah. Minus the nausea.
Sorry.
It's not as bad as Hardcore Henry. Did you guys ever see that one with Shelton
I
Copley?
need to watch
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Holy shit, a full feature. Okay, a little backstory on that one. These guys made a music video called Bad Motherfucker, and it was cool to see that POV kind of video game-esque type of action. And I was like, man, it would be really cool if they made a full feature film. And then they did. And I was like, God, this really sucks as a full feature film because everyone got motion sick. I think one of my friends was like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, fuck you. Over here, like, heaving.
That's fine.
But other than that movie, speaking of scary stuff, checked out. I know we talked about it earlier, Doug, but I checked out The Exorcist Believer, like I said I was, and it was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It was okay. I don't want to spoil anything. And by the time you're hearing this, I will already have my own review out on Forehead Films Instagram, and it's an okay film. I'd say it's still fun enough to go check out in the movies to get you kind of started if you're having a late start to your Halloween month. But it was okay. I didn't hate it. Didn't love it.
I think like kind of horror, spooky, scary stuff is always much more fun in the theater because you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like it's harder to look away or like pause it or anything like that. Like you're there. It's dark.
Yeah.
Other people are screaming. Like
Oh, that's my favorite
no one
part.
screamed in that. No one screamed. in
No.
that one at all,
Well,
no.
there was a few jump scares, and one of them got me, but there weren't. That was the only thing, and you and I talked about it. There weren't a bunch of like scary scenes. Weren't a bunch of jump scares, so could have done a little more with that. But still fun to check out. And in a non-scary lane, I finally caught up on the Boys spinoff show Gen V. And to quote you, Doug, well, that show's horny.
Oh, good old horny show. I like it. I mean, again, it makes sense. Superheroes, college.
Have you
Banging.
seen anything?
No, I haven't watched any
It's
of it yet.
horny.
Oh,
You've been watching it,
yeah.
right, Jermaine?
No, I haven't started it yet.
Rudy? Not going to say anything? Not going to spoil anything? First episode? It's horny.
All right, so I got to watch with like a pillow on my lap or something.
Not the first horny scene.
Oh, okay. How
if
do
it-
you
and-
know?
And if it does, then hey, happy late National Coming Out Day, Douglas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But does anybody else have anything they were hyped about? We're all good to go?
Oh, I'm hyped about all sorts of things, but
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I gotta
Warhammer Day
save
is
it.
this Saturday, but I'll talk about that next week.
We don't have the time,
I do
goddamn
gotta
it.
save it for the
know.
rest of the month.
Yeah.
So let's get the fuck into it. We were halfway through the Halloween month. Halfway through October.
Halfway.
Yeah.
Good God.
By the time everyone is hearing this,
Yeah.
Thank God.
We're going to make you a
Yeah.
spooky believer by the end of this.
I only have one response to that.
See, you're already getting into it. Oh, look at him. Fuck right off.
There you go.
Inception.
we're going to talk about the things that freaked us out in media, movies, video games, stories, podcasts, perhaps.
Oh.
And then maybe talk about some of our own scary stories. I want to pick your fucking brain. We talked about it a couple of episodes ago. Why the fuck you hate this season? We're all spooky people here, man.
Haven't I explained this?
I just said
more
right
than
now,
enough?
second ago, yes, but I want people who are listening to this episode.
We want the people to hate you more. So explain yourself.
I don't give a fuck. I just it doesn't do anything for me. Like it's if you have a unique story with a cool premise. Like I remember watching the Scream movie. That was a cool take on a slasher flick. I enjoyed it, and it wasn't like hardcore scary. Like it had its jump scare moments, but it was. I think it was more about the story than about anything else. Like supernatural stuff, cool, whatever. Zombies, I'm a fan, and that that can be more. I think it's more suspenseful, especially when you're fighting back. Like there's just something about that, like the zombie thing that I'm attracted to. But your serial killers, your Terrifiers, your Rob Zombie films with the fucking cracked out people, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like that shit.
And House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, like
Keep going. I'm almost close.
Devil's
I'm so
Rejects.
close.
And
Like it's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything for me. Like it's bad people killing regular people. Like what?
I'm on board with that. Sign me the fuck up.
Like I worry, and maybe it's just me because I worry about my wife, my family, my friends out in the world where these people exist. Like these are like they didn't just dream up these characters. Like they take influence from the real world, and I don't like that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say, it's hard. We've talked before how like, oh, it's kind of fun seeing the creative kills and like the goriness and all that kind of stuff. But I think it is important to realize, like, God, in today's world of like school shootings and stuff like that, like there's like 10-year-olds that have seen that kind of stuff in real life.
Now it would be one thing though if it was like a horror film that was like a school shooting.
Oh, yeah,
too
yeah.
on the nose.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't be a fan of a horror show that was like too realistic.
Yeah, I feel like
Like once it gets fantastical, it allows me to disassociate a little bit.
and I feel like with some of like the aforementioned favorite horror films like you had just mentioned, I feel like there's enough of a what would be the word derivation to be like I can enjoy this because the kills are fun. I mean, in real life, when people are murdering, it's just it's not
when it's
playful.
over the top. I can like okay, this is art. Like someone's trying to do something here, and I can see that. But it's almost like shit. An example, Saving Private Ryan. I haven't watched the end of that movie since the first time I saw it. There's that one scene where the guy's fighting with the German in the little nest where he has his machine gun and he's waiting for the guy to bring the ammo, and that guy freezes up. Where they're fighting, the guy pulls his knife and he gets it taken away from him, and then he's over him lowering that knife in like that. Fucking
It was Adam Goldberg.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
yeah. That shit fucking affected me so much when I saw it the first time. I was I was in Illinois at the time, so I was able to walk to the theater and then walk home. That whole walk home, that scene was just in my head, like shit like that, like just that.
But that's so
slow,
different.
silent kill. That
See, but I can separate.
I mean, I know it's different genre wise.
horror
Like
movie.
it's not like a
Well, also,
horrible
it's
scene, but-
intended to be real. Like people say, like that's the most realistic war film.
Yeah,
Yeah, and those soldiers, like none of them are like in this, like in that fight. It's purely survival at that moment.
Now, some of those soldiers were teenagers fucking. You go in.
Like it's not the greatest example, but it's just like that visceral kind of like
No, I get it.
like I could see myself in that situation. Like, well, I'm not going to see myself in a dream fight with Freddy Krueger. Like that shit kind of freaks me out. Like just anxiety. Like, nah, I'm all right with that.
Okay.
And that's those kind of toe the lines with those types of movies that I listed off, like as opposed to the supernatural ones or opposed to the zombie ones. Like there's a level of fantasy in those that I can, like I said, you can disassociate with reality, but.
Oh, I'm with
Some
you.
of them are a little too close.
I'm much more of a fan
It's a little
of
too
like,
rap for you, huh?
Yeah.
of possession and zombies and stuff like that. I mean, like old school slasher stuff is fun because it's so corny and ridiculous. Yeah.
I like the
Literally.
over the
But
topness.
I'm
of
with
the
you.
old
Like
school
even like the new
movies.
Saw, like I thought about going to see it and like I don't know if I really need to or want to.
Hostel was one where I was like, damn, that's like close to real people getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
My
tortured.
friend's
My
girlfriend
brother and I watched-
walked out of the
Really?
theater. Yeah,
Oh, I love
when
it.
the dude was getting the drill,
Yeah.
the drilling leg, she was like, "I can't," and he was like, "Sorry, dude, I gotta go." So it was just me in the movie theater by myself.
My brother and I watched those right before we went to Europe and stayed in hostels.
Oh, wow.
That was a great decision.
Right on.
Shit.
But-
Oh man,
While we're talking about like horror in general, I was thinking about it the other day, especially going back to like the old like 80s slasher stuff. I actually kind of want to equate it to the Aristocrats joke.
I'm familiar with it. You guys familiar with the Aristocats joke?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Hit me.
That's something we need to watch. Is that Aristocrats movie?
It's really good.
It's so the Aristocrats joke.
Bob Saget.
Do you
favorite
know the
version.
base joke?
May I?
Yeah, go for it.
The base joke is there's a family of four: mother, father, son, daughter, the grandma, and the dog. 5, 6. I can't do math. Okay, that's what I'm doing podcast. And they go into a talent agency, and they say, "We have an act for you." Talent agent's like, "Well, I'm about to head out, but okay, go ahead." And they jump right into it. I'm not going to give details because it's a full joke. Should I?
I mean, the base joke is like the one punchline, right?
So you then describe as dirty a thing as you want.
No. The base joke is they get on stage and take a shit.
Is that the base joke?
I'm pretty sure that's the base joke.
I thought it was just about making it dirty.
No. The base joke is they get on stage and take a shit.
Okay.
But then what comedians have done, and there's a whole movie about this, comedians have done and turned that take a shit into just describing the longest, just most disgusting.
Seeing how long you can go.
And surprisingly, like one of the worst was Bob Saget.
Holy shit.
Oh man, yeah. So we put this. Someone needs to write this down. We got to watch this movie because it's so
The Aristocrats.
ridiculous. But I equate that to horror because the base plot is some supernatural killer shows up, people have to survive. Like it's such a base plot, but then there's this like creative process into turning it into something more, and versus like Aristocrats where it's just supposed to be gross and funny, like so gross that it becomes funny. Like horror, it becomes like this is cool, like badass, or like.
But to put that more in context, the punchline of the Aristocrats is once they're done doing
yes.
everything, they go, ha ha, and the talent agent is blown away and says, well, I've never seen anything like it. I have to ask, what is that act called? And they say, the Aristocrats. It isn't about the punchline. It's about all the fucking gross shit in between that. And I like that comparison. Is that's what horror films are. It's not about the storyline or the end. It's about everything happening in between that can happen.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, because it's such a formulaic. The old school ones are so formulaic. The final girl,
Sure.
that kind of thing. So it's like it's just a matter of like how do you fill that formula out that makes it kind of an entertaining experience. There
are a lot of bad horror films out there, though. That
I watched one with a pair of killer jeans. It's called Slacks.
Tell me.
Damn those jeans.
They eventually figured out the jeans were possessed by like the 13-year-old that was in the sweatshop that put them together, and she died on the sweatshop, but she possessed the jeans and they were killing people.
That the haunted item is also one thing.
Yeah.
There's like a haunted hand, I think, or a haunted organ in some like older movie. And if anyone knows what the fuck I'm talking
Idle
about,
Hands.
No, but that
with
was
a
a fun
young
one.
Jessica Alba. That like
oh snaps!
oh man,
I love the kills in that
man.
one. Idle Hands. Never seen that one? Yeah. What was that? 1999.
Yeah,
Sure.
It had to be 99 or 98.
I know.
Because I remember
I'm
going
sorry.
back like in high school and like
She was also in another one that was a remake of
the Japanese one or something. Eyes.
Yeah, the Eye or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
The Japanese know how to make the horror film. The original Ring was solid, and the original Grudge. I'm probably
Oh, those are
mixing
solid
those two, but
Ringu.
I was on the set of The Ring.
What?
Yeah, they filmed it at the Orange County Register
Nana?
building here in Santa Ana when she was like in work to like copy the VHS. So I was a quote unquote film student at that time, and I worked also there at the Register as an electrician. And I was like, "Oh, you guys are filming a movie? Like, let me get on there." So I got on there, and then I got yelled at for my reflection was in the screen, so they made me move. And that's also the moment I realized I shouldn't be a film student because the whole idea of that is like making connections and talking to people. And like I talked to the electrician on the set, and then like I could have totally got off even to the director, which was what Gus Van Sant, I think.
I'm not sure.
And I just didn't. I didn't talk to anybody. But Naomi Watts did like brush up against me, and I was like, yeah, pretty much. And I was just sweating the whole time. It was miserable, but it was awesome. It was cool to see like a movie like that being made.
Speaking of campy horror films, though, did you check out the trailers that were shown in The Exorcist?
I saw a few of them.
Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. If nobody's familiar.
Are they actually making a movie out of
Yes.
that?
Okay.
Yes.
Fucking trailer.
So, way back in the day, 2000, I don't know, 15, whatever, 05, Grindhouse. Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez came out with Grindhouse, and it was Death Proof and Planet Terror. I forget who did what. Death Proof was Quentin Tarantino. Anyways, point being, in between those two movies, because it was a double feature, which was fun as hell. Saw that in Uptown Whittier. They had trailers, fake trailers. One was Machete.
Yeah,
and we all know that turned out to be a movie. And then the other one was Thanksgiving. And I didn't know that they were making that into an actual movie. And I, for fucking sure, want to go see that.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that connection. I didn't even think about that connection. That's so cool.
Oh, it's like teasing, and it's the opening of the trailer. And then once you see the woman tied up in the familiar turkey position, whatever, and then he like brushes the glaze over her face. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. Are they making a Thanksgiving movie? I was like, how do you know that? I'm like, oh, fucking, come on, Thanksgiving set up. And they're like, Thanksgiving. So I'm excited for that one.
So fun.
Man, anytime I think of anything like that, because when you just mentioned like the glaze, that reminded me of the movie, The Don't Breathe. You remember with the turkey baster?
Yeah.
God, that got so like ridiculously gross. I mean, I guess that's what you got to do these days. But like, man,
And that's a more suspense movie rather than a horror. But did you guys watch part 2?
Yes,
Why are we cheering for him?
because it's a different movie.
I
I feel like because
it's like different people. Oh, by the way, I was listening to that episode. I was getting mad again. It's like, fuck this fuck this guy.
Rudy picked me up today.
We
and
were talking about it.
And we're just sitting in silence, and I go, Doug really pissed at that one. Huh?
I was like, yeah, man, he got really mad.
Not really mad.
And the way I saw it, I was like,
a legitimate point.
you got mad at if it was like a regular thing, you get mad and I go, ooh, a button.
It was like I was looking at something else, and he was like, hey, "That's a legitimate thing. Fuck you." I was like, "What's going on over here?" Look at you back in.
oh man,
That's funny.
but I do feel it's because you know his story in the first one, so it's not saying that you have to have sympathy for him, but just because they tried to write it
him.
into a movie, where he's not like quote unquote the bad guy in a sense. So if you look at it that way, but I mean, it's just one of those things.
And no spoilers for that movie, but I did like the way it ended. It ended how it should have ended.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Definitely.
Let's go around the table. Let's talk about the movies that in your childhood fucking stood with you, or maybe if you remember your first scary movie that you seen.
I have my childhood one, and I probably say, man, when did this movie come? Maybe after high school.
What was it?
Oh my god, I just went blank right when
In
you
high school,
said
back in
that.
like what 1985 for you guys? What when high school?
exactly.
We graduated in 2000, or Jermaine and
a
I
while
were
ago.
2000.
Yeah, 2000, the greatest
Like
year
what was
to
it?
graduate high school. Anyways.
The class of the new
Neon.
millennium. We're the future.
Okay, so for me,
Respect my emotions.
for younger Jermaine, it was
Fuck your emotion.
Freddy Krueger. A Nightmare on Elm Street was the shit that got me. So, because of my family and my older sisters and my cousins, I was the youngest, so I had to do what everybody else wanted to do. So, like going to Disneyland and all those other things, I never really got to enjoy the parade or watch Captain EO or any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters. It was just rides. We did this. So when we watched movies, we were watching the scary movies, or we were watching all the things, that everybody else wanted to watch. So we would always watch scary movies. It wasn't, like the Disney stuff, anything like that. So I watched like all, like the Freddy movies, the Child's Play, like all the Candyman. And I was the youngest in the group. So if I wanted to hang out with everybody, that's what I had to watch. But for me, out of all the, Jason to Michael Myers, all those guys from that era, Freddy was the one that scared me the most, because
Same.
he was the one that got you in your dreams, and you had to sleep. There's nothing you can do about it, and if you fall asleep, it's like damn near that's it. And I just remember, I believe it was the first one where the chick was on the bed and she just got like like the slash marks.
The first kill
on
of the
her.
movie.
Yeah, like she just got the slash marks, and then she was like, getting like picked up in the air, and she's just screaming, and she's
Still
on
one of the
wall.
coolest kills.
And yeah, just blood everywhere. But I'm like, he can do that shit. He can get you like that. So it was just, yeah. So because I love horror movies to this day because of my childhood, but I'm not scared of them. It's just one of those things. If I was ever in that situation, in my mind, I feel like I can get myself out of it. But Freddy was the one that there
You think
is
you
no
can get
going
yourself
up.
out of it?
No, out of all the other ones, like Chucky. Oh fuck, Chucky up.
Oh yeah. It
But-
gets comical. Chucky gets
yeah,
comical.
yeah. But Freddy was just that one. You were gonna go in
Yeah.
his domain.
You got to be a
no
lucid
matter
dreamer.
Wasn't there one in Dream Warriors Part 3?
What. Yeah, it was a Dream Warrior.
Right now,
One
Nightmare on
of
3.
those.
Like
Yeah.
they were trying to lucid dream. Doesn't matter, bro. Freddy gonna get you. And that's the whole that's sort of the trope of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies is they all figure out, well, whatever happens, we can bring him out, and they all try to do that, and it's motherfucking Freddy Krueger, dude.
But it's just one of those things because he was like that killer, but he was an asshole and he had those one-liners, and then it was just a thing too. He damn near had that. Oh man, what's the thing that Deadpool has? Like the tune. What do you call that? Like the tune force. In a sense, because he could do anything. He could stretch his arms out. He could turn you into a pizza. And just eat you. Like it was anything goes for Freddy. So it was just one of those like. I also remember one where the guy was working out.
Yeah.
And Freddy came and like grabbed the bar and just kept pressing it down, and the dude's like arms just broke, and it's just one of those things. I'm just like,
My favorite Freddy kill, though, in Dream Warriors, and I think I've talked to other people and they agree because it looks so fucking painful, is the kid's like sleepwalking. He was the sleepwalker in that whole mental institution. And
yeah.
Freddy turns him into a puppet by like ripping his tendons,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah, it's just see.
although
that's
that
the
nurse
shit that got me.
that nurse, sexy nurse demon scene, that woke something up. Okay, early imprinting.
Oh man,
The kinks are active.
I feel so robbed because I watched. Wow.
Puberty, go back.
I watched a lot of horror movies as a kid, but I never watched the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. I was definitely Friday the 13th. I watched a lot of the Jason Voorhees stuff. I don't remember much of it, but I watched
Same.
a lot of that. I watched. I got pretty early on. I got into a lot of the really lame stuff, like Slumber Party Massacres and all of
And they're fun.
they're fun. I think. I mean, to this day, I still just oh, you got a lame movie to watch? I'll fucking watch the lame shit. Fuck the HBO stuff. Give me the lame shit.
And we'll talk more about some of the lame genre movies later on. But do you remember?
well, hold on, Jermaine
yeah.
had a second.
Oh, I do like those horror movies that are loosely based off of true stories, and all that stuff. But this one wasn't necessarily. It was just the hype around it, and it was just the time period. And I just remember the news was reporting on it, and they had articles on the internet. This was I think this was kind of fresh internet. But the Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah,
It was so much hype and
Speaking of shaky cameras.
lore around that thing, and I just remember watching it, and I'll never forget the ending where the dude was in the corner, and it was just one of those things, you heard the story, and when you see the witch, you just end up in the corner, and the girl went down there and she saw his friend in the corner, and just the fact that they said that this thing was found footage and all that stuff, and
I think it spawned the found footage.
yeah. I think it's one of the first. Yeah.
Everybody was talking about this movie. Everybody was hype about this movie. And I just remember getting dropped off at my house, and my house was the house that was behind another house. So I got dropped off in the street, and then the car just drove off and didn't even wait till I got to the door. So I was like, I have to run faster.
Blair Witch is gonna get.
But I never got my key out, so fast that night just to get into the house, and my room was at the end of the hallway, so it was another obstacle I had to get down. But yeah, that movie was one that got me. And another fact about that movie, I heard originally they had a scene where they were actually going to show the Blair Witch, but something happened. You know, the cameraman was supposed to turn, but he didn't turn when he was supposed to, and the fact that he just kept going just made it more spookier. So they decided to not show
interesting.
the Blair Witch, but that was one that was just a lot of things that was going around at the time.
I'm a fan of not needing to show the monster.
Yeah, I think
Bird Box.
Oh yeah, I think we talked about it in the Aliens episode. We talked a little bit about Blair Witch because we brought up like the fourth kind. But but just to go back to it, was anyone when Blair Witch came out? Did anyone think it was real?
I did.
I did.
Was it?
Because that whole concept
Yeah.
of fake found footage. I just remember seeing the advertisements, and it was certainly early internet.
I thought it was
About to
real.
say, yeah.
It was early
I was like,
internet, so like early like stuff you'd see online was very much like this was found footage.
they just found this, and they did
99.
and they're showing us what they found. I thought that shit was real.
Speaking of early internet, and this is completely random and not related to spookiness, but do you guys know what the very first like online movie trailer or website was or anything?
No.
Star Trek Generations. There we go. Bringing it back. Old joke. Bringing in Star Trek all the time.
How dare you bring Star Trek into our fucking horror
sorry.
theme thing? I'm actually not mad though, nor disappointed. That's impressive.
Bringing it back. It's,
Do we have like an opposite of a shame bell? Do we have like a ding appreciation or fanfare or something?
this is
as hell.
episode 25.
Also,
and
fuck you, but
I
that was
think I
impressive.
abandoned the Star Trek thing like at episode like 8 or something like
No,
that. But
you brought it back last episode.
yeah, I try.
I don't know if you heard me in the back. I was like, son of a bitch, he's doing it again. Here we go.
He gets his little bites in every once in a while. I appreciate it. Like I don't have the damn sound queued up, but if I did, it would be put your shit back on. It's Star Trek time, baby.
Star Trek time, baby. Douglas, what did little Douglas get scared of?
Oh man, there was. I'm thinking back to it. For some reason, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I think freaked me out as a kid. And it's
Classic.
such like it's a good classic
effectively
movie.
creepy.
But I think like the cotton candy thing freaked me out. Like just getting turned into a cotton candy like cocoon and then just dissolving inside of it. Like that really freaked me out. There was a movie called Phantasm. I think there was like 3 of them. And there was one like those spheres and just like flying and there's like blam, like knives into the skull like that.
Does the creepy tall man freak you out?
Yeah, the creepy tall man. I think that really bugged me.
We saw that one a couple of years, like 2-3 years back, because that was on before this podcast existed, but it was on my list of movies I hadn't seen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I mentioned before, like just Luke fighting the Rancor in Star Wars Return of the Jedi really freaked me out as a child. It's one of my earliest memories.
Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. As a kid, I was afraid of the dark because of Freddy Krueger. I was afraid to go to the bathroom because of Freddy Krueger all the time. But I wanted to ask you earlier, you said it, of like rushing to get your keys into the thing. Have we all done that? You get freaked out by something, like you feel like there's this like dark looming thing behind you, and you have to try to quickly, get your door open. You're like,
I don't know.
Like, I've done that as an adult after a scary movie.
Oh no, I don't know if I've ever really been too freaked out. Like, cause my job sometimes, my job now, but I always kind of worked summer because my dad owns a company, and sometimes we'd be working in like some old like abandoned buildings and stuff like that, or like buildings that are getting like torn down in a way. And there's been a couple times I've just been like, God, this is kind of freaky, but never like too crazy.
Oh yeah, now that I'm older, like I'm not scared of anything, but it's just younger Jermaine was one of those. I would go leave my room to go into the kitchen, get a snack, and it's just one of click, 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 all the lights. And then when I'm done, click, click, I gotta turn off all the lights, and I run to my room and close the door. Those social media videos now where
I post them all the time.
Yeah, where they turn off the lights, then they got to run upstairs, then there's that shadow.
Yeah.
That's what you imagine in your head when you're younger. There's just this thing that's after you, but it's nothing there.
By the way,
you just think.
I love the new trend of those videos where they make it seem like analog.
Yeah.
So it feels like that 80 creepy horror thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I can't really remember. I was probably like 11 where I started to, not get scared by the things. Although, here's a fun one. I used to get scared in the first part of the Thriller music video where he's turning into a werewolf.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk by the TV. I heard that. I would freak out. It would scare me.
I have one more childhood one.
Yeah.
Not really scary, not in that like jump scare kind of way, but X-Files.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about already? Season 4, episode 2, Home. It was banned for 3 years after it aired the one time.
What?
And I was at my grandma's, I think, watching it. And it was just, I recently just rewatched it. I had to because I wanted to be able to talk about it. And even now, I was like, God, this is a freaky episode.
Tell me about it.
Basically, like, these kids playing baseball, like, find a dead body and ends up being like a little dead baby, super deformed. And it turns out, like, there's this family that's just been there, like, inbreeding. And so, like, they're kind of like that big incest monster, deformed, like, people. And
like the hills have eyes people.
yeah,
Did Barbarian
but
kind
they
of touch on
find
that too?
out
A little bit.
Yeah, Barbarian touched on that too.
Yeah.
But
Floppy
they
heads.
find out like obviously like Mulder and Scully, like, oh, there's a baby. That means they must have a woman trapped here because like all they knew about was like the brothers. And they go and they find this like lady with like missing legs and like one missing arm like under the bed, and it turns out like that's their mom that they just keep under the bed and they pull out to bang, and like she doesn't want to leave because she wants
man,
the
that's
family
hot.
line.
Kidding.
She wants the family line to like keep going.
Oh, wow.
And like it was
banned for a minute?
banned for 3 years.
Whoa.
Like they showed it once, and then I think even after the
Was that
3
the
years,
Triple
like
X-Files
I think it
or
was
what?
very much just like it was at the time. It was like everyone, and I remember watching it just like, what the fuck? Because it was very scary. Like they were jumping out. Like it was very tense at the end. Like some cops that were helping Mulder and Scully were getting killed. There was like traps in the house. Like when they went in, like it was all in all like it was a creepy idea, and it was a scary episode. Yeah, I would just go watch that. I honestly kind of want to go back and watch a lot of the X-Files because I still really like the idea of that show.
What season and episode number again?
I think it was season 4, episode 2. It was called Home.
Yeah. The first X-Files episode to receive a viewer discretion is advised warning.
That's
Yeah.
how you know you've done something right. That's a little bit of an offshoot, but that's what's always funny is like you have network television, you kind of like push the boundaries or whatever, pushing the envelope, and then you have like we were just talking about Gen V and The Boys, like Jesus,
yeah.
warning every fucking episode of Gen V is horny, and I'm like, dang, who the fuck is writing this? I'm into it, but fuck, dang,
I said it makes it more realistic.
sure. The thing about X-Files for me as a kid was I don't have any specific episode, but it was like the overall atmosphere of the creepiness. As soon as my brother's your guys' age, and he would watch that regularly. Anytime I would hear the opening, I was like, I'm out, freaking. It probably wasn't anything freaking on screen, but it was just like everything's so darkly lit.
Yeah.
I tried to go back and watch it. I couldn't get back on board.
Me and my sister, we used to like to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like I like that intro music, how it was creepy with all the visuals and all that stuff.
They're bringing that back. Actually, this was the time we're recording. By the time it came out, it's be last week. The new Goosebumps with Jason Long as Arlstein. I don't know. Look it up, people. Yeah, they bring back some of the scary stuff. Like Are You Afraid of the Dark? They brought that back. They have another kids creepy thing. But Rudy, let's go back into your psyche.
Whatever.
Let's help figure out why you hate scary stuff.
I don't really have any standout
Fuck you.
horror movies when I was younger. Like I remember watching a handful of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Like what's that one big dude, Jason? What were the movies called?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. There you go.
Which
Tomorrow is Friday the 13th.
Like I remember
So
seeing
many people are going to get their $5 tattoos tomorrow or whatever their $20 tattoos or
Oh, my
whatever.
wife has a bunch.
Yeah.
From that.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's hilarious. I told her to get Mr. Poopy Butthole.
It is hilarious. Shit.
Do you have some too?
Just the one.
Oh.
But none of them really left like an impression. Like my whole thing when I was younger was when I was alone, because people would fuck off and do whatever, And they leave me home all the time because I was a responsible kid, and it was just the little like just random noises. I'd be like, all right, fuck it. Every light in the house is going on. Doors are locked. And I'm standing there with the fucking butter knife. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why are all these like, why do you not hear all these noises when everyone's around? And then when you're by yourself, you hear every fucking one.
Yeah, because you're by yourself and you're just your mind starts to play these games on you.
Here's a major hypotech callback. I felt really safe in my upstairs.
Oh, this fucking goddamn guy. This fucking upstairs, okay? It's been however. Excuse me. Hold on, hold fucking second, okay? It's been however many episodes, and I had all that time to forget about it. He gets mad about different people, and he brings up the fucking upstairs things. You goddamn different son of a rich person, mother. I'm okay.
I was gonna mention it when he just mentioned. He's like, "Oh yeah, I work for my dad's company." I was gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you upstairs."
I'm letting it go.
That'll be the name of the hypertech horror short movie. It'll be Downstairs.
Yeah, and just every 20 minutes you flash to the people upstairs just having a good old time. not scared or anything like that.
Drinking port and fucking playing video games.
Yeah, I got my three PS2s going upstairs because all my friends are over.
And you know what, though? Like, to be entirely honest, because we grew up as downstairs people, as a kid, should I ever encounter an upstairs house, it did freak me out. Stairs freaked me out because I wasn't used to it. I was just, a downstairs person.
I mean, so many like horror movies have used the stairs as a kill.
Effectively.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of them.
Yeah.
But then, I grew up and got into pest control and got into like creepy houses and creepy attics and creepy basements, and none of it fucking phases me anymore. But there was one time, and I later want to go into scary stories, but there was one time where we visited a friend's place who she was reporting seeing or experiencing supernatural stuff. And I am a skeptic, big time. I even went over one time to try to debunk and help figure it out, like, oh, it's just the rattling of the pipes or a branch hitting the window. For the fucking life of me, I could not debunk it. I listened to the audio that she had recorded. Nothing. I was there for at least an hour or so. I couldn't figure it out, and I'm not exactly chalking it up to supernatural stuff, but it has started. That was a couple of years ago. It kind of started to open up drop my guards and open up my perspective on maybe there are some things out there.
Well, of course, you spent a whole fucking hour on it. I mean,
a solid hour. It was a small apartment. By the way, since then she has yet again started to experience stuff.
My parents' house, we had multiple family members, like relatives, not at the same time, like at different visiting, moments, mention like, oh, I feel something in this house, or I see something. Dude. And like, me, especially at a young age. I know. No, upstairs I was totally safe.
I feel downstairs people upstairs.
Yeah.
It's Jermaine at the bars.
But
please, sir.
I do remember at the house, like, because they were pretty big back in the day. The lights were like, they didn't have the knob or the button. You just like touch the light, right? Did you guys ever see those? We had one of those like just turn on, which I'm assuming was like, I don't know, dust or the wind or something hit it. But I do remember that, like the lights turning on. And then I do remember like seeing, God, you guys are going to hate me. When I was out swimming in our pool.
Jesus.
I know.
I had a pool.
Okay.
Above ground?
Yes.
There you go.
I do remember like seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye. So as a kid, like there was I'm really surprised I wasn't afraid of the dark more, because like there was a lot of moments that I would legitimately like see something and be like, huh, okay, there's that. And then it never really scared me too much, but I remember being freaked out about it. I mean, hell, even recently in this house, I think I told you the other day about, I was playing video games and something hit my back, because I lean forward a lot. Like if the game is hard and it's getting serious, right? Feet on the floor, lean forward. Right. And something hit my back, and I turned expecting to see your dog, Ellie, like had jumped up or something like that. She rarely jumps up from behind like that. But I turned to either that or like maybe you were like trying to get my attention and no one was there. And like, I was like, well, okay, that was fucking weird, but whatever.
I tend to aim a little lower if I'm trying to get your attention.
Hey.
Yeah, you have to.
Going back to my friend's apartment, last year we went over to go watch the Halloween smash hit, Hocus Pocus 2.
Fuck off.
A terrible movie. Very bad. I went to go use her bathroom, and she had her bedroom door open, and it's dark in there. And I have not been afraid of the dark in years. Probably since I was, I don't know, last time was probably I was like 11 years old. I don't know. And the feeling that I got, like that classic dread that I used to feel as a kid. Now, maybe when you're younger, maybe you're sensitive to things. I don't know. But I couldn't explain it. And after walking out of her bathroom, I sort of paused, and it's that feeling of, mind you, we're watching a dumb, campy movie, Hocus Pocus, Part 2. Ugh. And I like feel that those eyes on you from her bedroom in the darkness. I hadn't had that feeling. I'm getting chills now. I hadn't had that feeling in years. Haven't had it since. I couldn't explain it, and I like scuttled and scurried away.
Is that where she keeps her like quadriplegic uncle?
Probably.
I'm going to put you in the room when the guests are over.
But I didn't see any.
Sorry to our quadriplegic listeners.
Yeah, sorry, Bob.
Quad-sided butt plug.
Sorry to all the Bobs and Matts. And Arts. Huh? Anyways. And I didn't tell my friend or my wife what I was feeling in the moment until like afterwards. And my wife is more sensitive to some of that stuff than I am. And I used to, again, was a skeptic.
She's a vampire, bro.
She's absolutely a vampire. I'm pretty sure I summoned her, and that's unfortunately got married. But when I on the drive home, I brought it up to her, and she like slowly looked at me and was like, I felt something too. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Come on, man. That's bullshit.
No, let's get the fuck out.
Yeah, like I don't believe in any of that. She will have moments where, because she knows kind of not to bring it up to me anymore, because I just go, oh, it was 'twas some bad mustard, or whatever the fuck, right? And those moments when she gets together with like a friend of ours and or my mom and my sister who have had their history of, precognitive dreams or bad things happening and seeing stuff. And, there's no such thing as, what is it? Mass hallucination. Mm-hmm. So when they're all reporting seeing the same fucking thing, I'm like, I can't explain that one, And a couple of years back, we went to Victorville to go visit my uncle, and I have not been in that house for Jesus Christ. I was little since the last time I've been there, and unfortunately, my aunt had passed away from COVID. I think a year prior to that. Nothing of it. Family. I think it was Father's Day. We're all having a good time, having drinks and stuff. And you kind of go to a certain part of the house, I feel a little icky, and I'm like, whatever. And it was until afterwards, again, on the drive home, that my wife was talking to my sister, and then they had that feeling of dread, and then my mom was feeling something, and then everyone else starts telling their stories of my uncle saw like a possible light that could have been the spirit of my aunt floating through the room, and I'm like, Jesus fucking hell. Maybe this, I don't know, maybe there's something to this. Does anybody else have stories or people they know that experience something that maybe you just couldn't explain?
Not, no.
Like why girls don't like you, Doug?
I know.
Because I love you.
Thanks.
Just undiagnosable burning sensations. Other than that,
I do.
None of our family is very sensitive to the paranormal.
I do want to put it out there, though, since it is spooky season, to everyone listening, please hit us up in the comment section and in the DMs. I want to hear everyone's supernatural stories, because everybody has them.
Yeah.
I'm less of a skeptic. I'm still there, but there's just some things I just can't explain.
Not supernatural, but I do have another scary movie or scary moment in my life. Totally caused by myself. Do you know Black Star Canyon? You might be more familiar with it. Black Star Canyon's a canyon kind of local here in Orange County, but there was always rumors of it being haunted, or there's aliens, or there's white supremacist neo-Nazis out there. Like, it's just a bad area, but it's a cool hiking spot.
All the above.
Yeah, it's probably all of the above.
We have one of those in Whittier.
Oh, nice.
Turnbull Canyon.
Oh, fuck.
That's fun.
That place is creepy.
I mean, to the point, like I've always wanted to make like a horror movie set in Black Star.
I'm on board. Let's do
But
this.
I was with some girls and like late at night, I was like, oh, let's drive out to Black Star. And you literally start driving on a dirt road and it's like middle of nowhere kind of thing. So we're driving. It's like, God, it's creepy. Like if you've ever been like on a dirt road at night, like your lights don't light up too much. Anyway, I stopped and just turned off the lights. They got scared. I'm like, ha ha ha. I was like, oh no, this is fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's get out. And we got out and was just like, this is fucking creepy. Because, you know, it's like still like in Orange County. So like light pollution doesn't allow like a lot of the starlight or the moonlight. So it's very fucking dark when you get out of the car in those situations. And it was definitely just like, I didn't know what would have come out at us at that point. I mean, there are mountain lions and stuff, but I was just like, no, this isn't it.
It's one of those moments where you kind of get reminded of maybe not your mortality, but of your like insignificance, maybe.
Yeah.
He was old boy from The Simpsons. We're in danger.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, let's get back in the car. And then I might have told the story before on the podcast, but there was another night where I think Dave was driving, my brother, and yeah, we had a couple girls with us, and we're like, oh, let's cruise through the cemetery because my parents' house isn't too far from a cemetery there in Santa Ana. And we're kind of cruising through middle of the night, and it's like, oh, it's creepy. It's a cemetery, blah, blah, blah. And like we're creeping along very slowly. And then fucking Dave just wails on the horn.
Jeez, Dave.
Yeah, jeez, Dave. And oh my God, even I jumped like, oh shit. It was like, cause you know, when girls are with you, you know, you're like, I feel like, at least me, like you kind of get more into it, right? Because they're getting creeped out, and like you're like, oh yeah, it's creepy. It's like, motherfucker. That scared the shit out of me.
I have a creepy story, but not a supernatural story. A few years back, my friend, I'm not going to name him because I don't want to like get him in trouble, but he was a sort of like glorified security guard. He's like a police officer and would sort of be in charge of like watching over the abandoned portion of the hospital. And when I found out that he essentially had the keys to it, I was like, bro, so I can do some urban exploring. Let's check it out. He's like, absolutely. Come by this day, this time at night. Let's go right around and check it out. You're probably going to run into a bum or two. You know, wear some thick shoes. You might step on some, dirty hypodermic needles. And so I go in my Dexter attire, and it is a creepy hospital. You have to go through like a long hallway with creepy blinking lights, and then you go to the elevators, which unfortunately are still working. You go in there, and instead of taking you to the floor where you want to go, which we wanted to go to the very top and then make our way down, this fucking elevator had a mind of its own and decided to, stop on every other floor, and then open up randomly.
Awesome.
To like a scarier floor, and it's dark and there's nothing out there. Like we're there it's a hospital. There has to be some hauntings. I have to see something. I really wanted to see something. Actually, that was a year that I fucked around with the Ouija board, and I'll get to that one in a second. And you're hitting every floor, and the elevator doors sometimes open and they sometimes don't. And I'm nervously looking at my friend going, dude, are we going to get stuck in here? Are we going to be the new ghosts? Like, what's going to happen? Short story long, though, we explore everywhere, and I then realize, you know what? Nothing's going to happen. There's nothing around the corner. As creepy as everything looks, as much as I would love to film some kind of scary stuff, it's already set up for it. There's nothing happened. So I then ended up trying to freak out my wife and our friend, and successfully did. But fortunately never saw anything creepy. The where do they have the babies?
Maternity ward.
Maternity ward. That is pretty creepy when it's abandoned like that. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Another, if we're just telling scary moments, I was playing a video game called Fear 2. I don't know if you guys ever played it. I never played Fear 1.
I played Fear 1.
Okay. Fear 2, 1 was a damn good game. The AI of the enemies in that game was like known throughout the gaming industry. Like it was one of the first games to really put artificial intelligence into it was a first person shooter game, and the enemies would like know to like, well, this isn't working, and like change positions, try to flank you or like fall back and get into cover. So that made it like a hard game, but the game itself was like a scary game. And there was a moment when at one point in the game, these like weird skinless like humanoid creatures that like crawled on the wall just started like swarming me. So fucking freaky, right? And it was intense. Like I was barely surviving. And that's what makes like, I guess, scary video games much different than like a scary movie, because it's like you have to try to survive as this creepy jump scare stuff is happening. And I'm backing up my usual video game strategy of just back up saying shit, blasting the shotgun away or something like that. And I finally like cleared it all. I remember taking like one breath, like, okay, because I was tense, holding everything in as I'm like, shit, click, click, click. And then like, and this was when I was at the apartment in Tustin. Right after that breath, the neighbors above me dropped something heavy on the floor.
I love it.
And it was late at night. I was probably playing close to midnight and like I got that breath and I was still very tense from that scary scene, and then just from above. And I was like, fuck. It scared the shit out of me.
Speaking of video games, before we get into movies that have maybe scared us as adults, you got to name your video games. You guys are gamers. What freaked you out? You got fear.
So I think I was a pretty big fan of that survival horror genre with the games. Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dead Space. Dead Space especially, because the monsters on that one were like mutated humans. Mm-hmm. And the fucking imagination that went into those things. And they're coming at you, and it's not like a standard, like just keep pumping them full of bullets until they die, or like hit them with the headshots. Like you have to take them apart. Like you can shoot at the trunk all you want, but the limbs are going to keep fucking pulling the whole thing towards you. Yeah. And you have to like cut the limbs off and then like finally get close enough and stomp the shit out of it. Those games, especially Silent Hill, because I remember getting that game and I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's, creepy. It has a cool look to it. Put it in, turn off all the lights. At that point, I was living in a house where my room was separate from the main house. Like you had to walk outside and then walk into my room. So no possible noise from the main house. It was all dark, damn near pitch black, and I'm playing this shit in my little futon. And it was just the experience of it scared the holy shit out of me. But since I was fucking armed and or I had a knife or had a bat or whatever the mechanics were, I think I tolerated that a little bit more because I could fight back. It was mostly like supernatural monsters too, so that was cool. But that and Resident Evil, especially because it was my first horror survival games, just left such an impression. Just the jump scares in that thing, like you're playing along and it's fucking like low light, creepy music's, like toned down a little bit, and all of a sudden fucking something pops out of it and it's
yeah.
And I have the controller like over my head, like I go from here to and I'm like trying to play like this, like shit, like exactly the back, just spraying with everything I have. And those games, like you had to manage your ammo and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, no, fuck that. Like this monster's getting the whole clip, even after the music like fades out and it's dead and it's like twitching and the blood puddle is. I'm like, just dry firing the shotgun that I have, those were cool. I think because it was interactive as opposed to just sitting there and watching it happen.
Yeah.
Do you feel the original Resident Evil games were more scary or the newer ones? I have my answer to that.
It took I started with Resident Evil 2, and I think that was more action based than the first one, because when I finally played the first one, and you're in that mansion in the forest.
Yeah, the first two were both still camera though, right? It was like it was still camera set at a specific angle, and you walked in which I think allowed for those jump scares so much more. And I never played those original ones. My brother did though, and I just remember sitting there watching them, and it was still that experience because there was those jump scares, there was still those moments. Like it was such a good combination of jump scares and like the intense moments where it's not necessarily a jump scare, but like, there's a few zombies coming at you and you're stuck in the corner, and if you haven't maintained your ammo well, like, make every shot fucking count.
See, I feel like the original ones were more scarier because of how me and Rudy described the movement of those things are like tanks.
Yeah.
So because of the mechanics of the game, how you move, you can't really run like how you can run in the newer ones.
Does it kind of remind you like when you run in a dream?
Almost
a
in a
nightmare?
sense, you just want to get out of there as fast as you can, but
you want to
you're-
book around the corner, but like you walk to the turn and then you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you start
do that
running
little
again,
tank turn. It's right there. So it's just one of those things. I feel like the original one was scary just because of the movement dynamics. But
I never got around to playing Resident Evil when I was a kid because it was my brother's game system, and I would always watch him play games, and it was always me bugging, when can I get a turn? But that one freaked me out, but I still enjoyed watching and being creeped out. And just that look, that it's sort of like you're running around like a matte painting almost.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
yeah, in a sense.
But it wasn't until later on when they came out on the DS, and I know it's not the same thing, but I still got to sort of enjoy it
Yeah.
secondhand.
For me, it's the same as Rudy. I like the Resident Evil franchise a lot. It did have some jump scares, but one particular game that's not necessarily a horror genre game is Prince of Persia 2. Man, what was it called again? Because the first one was Sands of Time, and then the second one was when he had to go back to fight Kylena, the Empress of Time. Damn, I can't believe I forgot the name of that. But anyways, so
The Shadow and the Flame.
so in the game, because the prince changed his destiny in the first game because he messed with the Sands of Time, so now he has to go back to the island because he's cursed. So there's this thing that's after him that's called the Haka. And as you're playing that game, you could be doing anything, all of a sudden the Dahaka busts through the walls like the Kool-Aid Man, and you got to run and escape this thing. And it's just the music behind it, and you got to run. You're running on walls, you got to jump through obstacles, but it's just the fear. Like you're playing the game, I'm like, oh, what's this? And then, and I'm like, oh, just like you guys, shit. And I'm using the sand dagger. You die sometimes, or you fall, or you miss something, and you got to, rewind time, but you're just like right back in the game, and those moments right there
The
are,
Warrior Within.
yeah, the Warrior Within. Yes,
I played those games. I remember that. Now, I don't know, again, because I don't game, I don't know if there's any games that have that type of thing where something just like out of nowhere starts chasing you.
There's a few.
Yeah?
Diablo 4, which just dropped, which I feel so bad because I honestly forget it exists every once in a while.
I haven't played Zelda in 2 months.
But Diablo 4 introduced like the Butcher, which is a character that has been around, but he'll just randomly show up, and you're questing. And I can't imagine how it feels for anyone playing on hardcore mode. Hardcore mode, if your character dies, it's dead. Just delete, like you start over.
Whoa.
And I can't imagine how that feels. Just like, oh, Butcher's here. Like, fuck me. Like it's a hard fucking fight that you got to be like on top of your game.
There are some games, they're more like internet games now that utilize the liminal. You guys are familiar with liminal spaces? It's what kids call the back rooms, right?
Oh, okay.
An empty Sears, and it's because it's empty, it should be filled with stuff, and it just doesn't feel right. Liminal spaces. YouTube those. Can get pretty creepy, but these internet games sort of utilize the liminal spaces, and at times like shadow thing is chasing you through the halls. And the entire time you're doing that, like with the Haka, is you're like, no, chit. And funny enough, a friend of mine sent me one, but it was Michael Jackson chasing you. But you would hear it like amplifying and be like,
Oh god.
and it's stupid, but it's still fucking got my heart beating just watching the video. I'll have to send it to you guys.
There's a lot of like newer games that are like kind of creepy and really lean into that. Like Five Nights at Freddy, which the movie is coming out this month, I think. I never played the game, but I know like a lot of younger kids like played it and like said it was pretty freaky. And
Well, my nephew, speaking of Dead Space, my nephew just started to play Dead Space, and he fucking loves Five Nights at Freddy. I know nothing about it, but I'm probably going to end up taking him to go check it out.
Yeah, the movie looks entertaining enough.
Yeah.
I wish I'd played the game and maybe I'd be a little bit more excited about it. I think there's a VR version of the game now, which speaking of VR, it wasn't like jump scary. I've played some VR games that have done jump scary because definitely VR has potential to be like some hardcore scary stuff. I think even some of the early VR experiences before they were really making games out of it was just like look around and something jumps out at you and it's creepy. But there was a game called Transference that essentially was a escape room kind of thing, but it was like set inside a house and you're in this VR thing. And like once you're in a VR world for a while, you actually kind of like your mind starts, at least for me, it's like you're there, right? Especially if it's a well done thing. And in this game, at one point, like you start kind of seeing ghosts, and like this kid was popping up, and you know, we'd kind of like you'd see him, and he'd go through, and I wasn't too creeped out by that. But then at some point, he like the ghost appears in front of you and like tells you something or whatever, and then walks through you. And I got so much chills when that happened because again, I'm one of these people that like really get into the VR, like, you know, where it's like I duck my head because I'm going to hit something or whatever. And like, it really felt like this thing walked through me at that moment. And I was like, man, that was a creepy experience.
So I think it's safe to say that everybody that, you know, is a spooky person is always looking for that scare, whether it be me searching, you know, ghosts in a hospital building or VR, but like we want that immersive, safe experience of being scared. Mazes. Throughout the years, I've done my share of, you know, Halloween Horror Nights, the Queen Mary, whatever, Halloween mazes. Not Scary Farm, I think is my favorite.
I want to work there one spooky season, but go ahead, continue.
My favorite cast member for the Not Scary Farm is I blanked out. What is her name?
Captain Stupid.
No, you know what I'm talking about? Where she's like, tie your shoes.
Oh, I've seen that video. I didn't know there was a name. I mean, obviously there's a name to that person.
Bobbins.
But, okay.
I think her name's Bobbins. Sorry. But throughout the years, they got overly populated, heavily crowded, and I can't remember the last time, like, the intent of being scared. You know, I don't remember the last time I got scared. It was usually like, even asked my wife, we're usually like laughing throughout the mazes, going like, oh, that's a cool effect over there, ha ha ha. And then it's usually like a cast member in the hood that's just waiting around the corner to guide people out through the exit. You turn the corner, you know. But the actual thing that's supposed to scare you never fucking works. So it was always, throughout the years, I was always looking for that maze to scare you. And then I found one. And I won't do mazes anymore. I'm all mazed out.
Little bitch.
Do you want to try this one?
Oh no, I know the story. I know the story, and I'm not ready for it.
No,
I would never do it.
A friend of mine, Amanda, Mrs. Harry Poor Sparks, for her birthday, which is coming up. Happy birthday, Amanda. You're probably not listening. She was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this maze called the 17th Door. Have you heard of it?" I said no, but I'm on board. Cool. Of course, I researched it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is great," because it feels like that safe maze type of thing, and it's really immersive. And ooh, you have to sign a waiver because they can touch you and they can push you around and they can tase you and they can shoot pellets at you. Wait, what the fuck is this? You know? And you watch a couple of videos and you're like, I got this. It's not gonna really hurt you or nothing like that. I'm on board. So we went. And we paid for the bonus like field trip thing where they take you to an empty parking lot in this van, empty Sears parking lot in front of Knott's Berry Farm, and you do this sort of like side quest thing that was sort of like Breaking Bad and prison themed. And as you're running around like these cargo containers that are fashioned into like this maze, you're like, okay, you have to hide from the cast member who's trying to chase you. And nothing has settled in just yet. You're thinking, okay, you know, it's like playing hide and seek. So I'm hiding behind a container. I'm like, there's really not a lot of places to hide. So my side and my butt's kind of sticking out. And you hear him walking, and you hear him rattling his chains and nails and whatever. And in a moment, you just feel a jolt of electricity in your side. This motherfucker tased me. And as soon as that happened, I was like, this is not your typical maze. I don't know what the fuck I got myself into. And from then on out, throughout the entirety of that like field trip portion, the adrenaline was up. And that whole thing, when you're watching a horror film and you're like, don't go in there. Ah, dumb bitch. I would have done this completely differently. You're Monday morning quarterbacking this shit. No, when you're adrenaline, I pushed my sister out of the way. I fucking fell to the ground. I fucked up my wrist. I mean, like,
we gotta kill Isaac in the zombie apocalypse. No, go ahead, continue. That's all I took from that story.
I thought I was gonna be like all cool and collected, dude. I lost my shit. I'm first out the door, getting chased and getting tased. I got tased a handful of times, and like other people who were also laughing and thinking this is gonna be fun, they get tased and like, oh no, what the fuck is this? Now, you can pay for what they call a bitch stick, which is a necklace, a glow stick on a necklace.
Like I was like extra DLC, a little extra payment.
Yeah, it's so that you don't get tased. I mean, the things that they do, surprisingly, none of the actors got punched, but it gets fucking close. So we're all freaked out. Thus ends the field trip. We come back to like the main setup, the main maze, and we're primed and we're ready to go. Now, everyone that sees us come back to like where the main gathering thing in the line is, they're looking at us and they see that we're like freaked out and wide-eyed and shaking, and mind you, they haven't paid for the bonus field trip, so they're all happy and go lucky the way that we were at the start of everything. And so when it's prison theme, so as the cast members, the guards, are like, all right, now get up on the fucking wall and put your hands up and don't fucking move. And we did, and nobody moved. And we were there for a good 5-10 minutes. And when another cast member's like, what are you guys doing? Like, they said not to move. We're like, no, he's fucking with you. You can put your arms down. Because we already were tormented. We were already tased. We're in it. This is the maze of all mazes. So the 17th door, I think it's about like an hour-long experience. And each door, 17 of them, it gets progressively worse. Some of it is psychological torment. Some of it's physical. Some of it, nothing's really gonna. Some of it's a combo of the both. And I'm not gonna go through each door, but there's parts where you get like your hair and eyebrow shaved. I got my shit shaved. They sit you down, they shave you. You go through some parts where like some big fat, like it's like a whole shower scene, big fat like dude's all wet and he's like rubbing up on you. So they get handsy. Hot. It's gross. You have like a whole spinning room a la Inception. Like that was fun. Some rooms where the walls are electrified and they will zap you if you touch them. Another one where the ceiling's coming down. One of my favorite ones that was actually pretty creative, and it was all purely psychological, is like, this bum is like, come on down over here where my little camp out and stuff. And like, it's like his little camp and you're sitting on an apple box and a milk crate.
Oh, I thought he said apple bottom.
Wait a minute. I just got reinterested.
And then you hear like a horn honking, and you turn and the tarp comes off and this car and headlights are just barreling at you. It's just a chassis on a track, but it's fucking realistic. And I jumped out of my seat and like fell to the ground. Like it was really impressive. There's other parts where they line you up in a shooting shooting squad style, and you get hit with like some fucking hard foam pellets, and then you finally get a chance to actually shoot other people. What else?
This is in Buena Park?
This is in Fullerton. Oh, yeah, Buena Park. Yeah.
I think it was
behind
in like
99 cent
Tustin
store.
a while
I've
ago.
never heard of
like
this.
years ago. Yeah, no, it's been around for a little while, and I've always seen it, and I've heard you get like drenched in blood, like
No.
Well,
You
back
get
in the
bugs thrown at
day,
you.
like bugs thrown at you and stuff
I got
like
bugs
that.
thrown on me.
Yeah.
But I'm a bug guy, so I'm like, whatever. What are we going to do? If it was bed bugs, I'm like, fuck you guys. Oh, by the way, you can also yell mercy at the beginning of any room and then just pass, go on through. The room that, there's two rooms that suck the most. Obviously, the last one was just terrible and actually like woke up with some PTSD for like the next 2 mornings. But there was a room with essentially like electric chairs. Like, no, they're not going to actually, zap you with, electricity. But they hit you with enough voltage, kind of like what are those like muscle stimulators? right? Those pads, but they just amp it up. And what's fun about it is that you have a panel of buttons, and every button has a number, and everyone's chair has a number, and you get to vote who's going to get.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
So you can see who fucks you over. Lasers like point at you. They go about like 4 or 5 rounds, and that shit was painful, dude. Because every rivet on there was like the contact point, and you're trying to not get zapped, and you're leaning on one arm, and you're leaning on what butt cheek. But the way electricity works out, right, is if you're just focusing on one part, all of that part gets the most voltage. Painful. My you get your like muscles start cramping for like the next 2 doors. But lastly was the final room. And before I tell you that one, what they had the year before for like one of their final rooms was they have you stand up against a wall, and then like netting comes down and sort of pins you against the wall. And then another panel comes down, and it's like latex. And then they vacuum seal you in it. Correct, you can't breathe. And they do it for like 10 seconds, and you hear them counting down. And then they, sort of let you breathe again. And then they're going to do it one more time, but then it like quote unquote malfunctions, and that's the end of that thing. Well, I was waiting for that, but I didn't know that that's not what they were going to do for this year around, because you got to change some stuff up. So the last room that they have, it's a row of cages. Sorry, because it's just my favorite thing, because I'll never fucking do it again. Right? I'm getting it on the record. It's a row of cages, and you have to crawl in, and they close the door behind you, and they tell you there's a lock in front. You can escape it. You just have to put in the code. Whatever, they'll give you the code. You don't have to find it or nothing like that. They're giving you the code. I'm like, great. I can just unlock it. It's a little wet and slippery, but I got this shit. Well, joke's on you. It's never going to actually open. Psychological horror or torment. And then the buzzer hits, and it's on hydraulics, and they dip you. They completely submerge you into water. And to make sure that you can't peek up and get a little sip of air, they inflate airbags on your back and head. And if you try to push back, it'll zap you. And you're just completely submerged in water for at least like 10 seconds.
Fuck that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it.
So then it raises up, and you take a deep breath, and you're like, what the fuck did I sign myself up into? And it's shaking again because it's going to dip back down, and I yell mercy. And I'm thinking, okay, they stopped the whole thing because I yelled mercy. No, the joke's on you. They're not going to dip you again. But I still bitched out. And
I knew it.
I knew it.
Yeah, that shit was. So I want you to fucking try that shit, because that was hardcore.
You told me the story before, and that part freaked me out because I ran
out of breath. Sorry about it.
Yeah, I ran a Tough Mudder before, and one of the obstacles in that was you have to like dip under the water to get like under this cage, and then when you pop up, there's a cage like 5 inches maybe above the water line. And the idea is you float on your back and you just pull yourself through. But that initial moment of like going underwater and then popping up to like so little air in between the water and the top, and like just adjusting yourself and like not really being able to like shake your hair or anything, like shake the water off your face. I almost panicked.
Yeah.
Like it was a good little moment of just like, and then it was like, okay, like lay down, like I have plenty of space. And then I just pulled myself through the cage and got out of it. But
well, the funny thing too is like this was for our friend's birthday, so she's like, "Oh, hey, after we do the 17th door, we'll like get dressed and then we'll go have some drinks." We met back up again, and everyone is just like shell shocked. We're like, I think we're just gonna have like one drink and just kind of call it a night. We were just done. I mean, we were all like fucking hyped up for it. No, we were completely done. And then the morning after, like my nose was stuffy, and so I was waking up in the morning, sleeping in, and I don't usually lay on my belly, but I was, and my wife was like cuddling me because I was like twitchy in my sleep, just being freaked out, and her leg was over my back, and my nose was stuffy, and I couldn't breathe, and in that moment, I like panic woke up, and kicked her leg off. She's like, "It's okay, you're not back there, you're not back there, you're here," and I was like, "No."
how long did you go where you had to get tased in order to get hard?
Yeah, she doesn't know about that, but yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, she
now.
doesn't. You do it. You do it. I gotta go freshen up in the bathroom. You sit there. Come on.
What's wrong with the lights again? They're flickering. It happens every time before we fuck.
Turn the lights off. You gotta like play audio of a creepy voice as you tase yourself. There it
You just
is.
hear.
Just a cattle prod sticking out of your ass.
But
If you've been
things that,
drinking, you gotta like hit it midway through. Hold on, baby. Oh, there we go.
but now that we're all adults and we're searching for like the scary
we?
things, most of us. Do you guys? I know, Rudy, you don't like the scary movies, but are there any recent scary movies as an adult that freaked you out? I got a couple.
Well, going back to your story about the 17th door and like all this idea of even escape rooms or anything like that, it is fascinating that we live in a world, and I guess we're privileged enough to live in a nation and a timeline where we're willing to go pay. We pay money and schedule in like
Getting your shit pushed in.
an adventure,
Yeah.
a torture. Like, I mean, there's people in the world today that just experience that. Sorry, there's a weird thumbs down on your video. We're lucky enough to live in a time even where it's like, yeah, that's what we do. We can go pay for an adventure because I mean, I think about our grandparents or great grandparents, like at least for me, like escaping Soviet Russia, like, you know, like there was people fighting like crazy wars and like crossing, you know, vast amounts of land to get to like a better life. And we're like, can I pay you to torture me? I need to feel something for once, please.
Yeah, people. Anytime I would tell a story, people would ask, "And you paid for that?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, you know.
I mean, no. There's a part of me that's like, I guess it's tempting just to like, I don't know. It's like that survivalist, right? That maybe all of us fantasize a little bit. I think we talked about a little bit in the post-apocalyptic episode of just like, yeah, I guess if you experience something like that, like maybe you'll be prepared if you ever get stuck in that. But I don't know.
Because at times
I've said before, if someone tries to torture me, you just play an annoying noise. I'll tell you fucking everything.
it's my story of the 17th door.
We're going to annoy you now. You tell us everything. We found the podcast, episode 25. Here you go. Listen to this guy.
And then, you know, I went into but it's the 17th door. 17 of them.
No! I'll tell you everything! Everything! Here's the codes. Fucking Duke everything. I want to hear it again.
He would sound just like
Breathe for 10 seconds. Boom fucking hell! Boom fucking hell!
Well, I mean, we're different, dude. So
he would sound
Just different
exactly
people. I know.
exactly like old boy from the Goonies. You would sound exactly like him.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then when I threw up on Irene.
I got shocked in the back.
Oh, chunk.
Oh my god.
Fuck.
Oh, did anybody have any scary movies?
Scary movies as an adult. Anybody? Scary movies.
No, I think we should wrap that right
Oh,
there.
yeah, you know what? Fuck. Let's close this.
We
shit
had
out.
2 podcasts and a podcast.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll do more spooky episodes, right?
I had to take my notes down
Yeah.
for next week because I don't want to get into what I was going to get into.
All right.
After that, no, I'm kidding.
More spooky stuff to come, you guys. That's
Put a
another
spooky button into it.
Put a spooky button
A
into
ghost
it.
button.
Tell us about your spooky dookies.
A skeleton button.
I was underwater for 10 seconds and I took a big spooky dookie.
Oh yeah. What if it was spooky dookie water?
Ew.
Oh.
This was.
You know, someone let a few drops out on that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure this was.
Yeah. How much cleaning time do they have just in case someone like squirted
I
fucking
don't
everywhere?
think they did. This is, by
Like
the way,
squirted.
this is like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So this is like, mid-COVID.
Oh, mid-COVID. Nice. There was just a room of people coughing.
That was gross. So let's put a spooky button on that one. We're going to come back with some more spooky stuff to round out the Halloween month of October. So if we missed anything, tell us your scary stories and supernatural happenings
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
in the comment section, in the DMs. Douglas?
Keep the conversation going. That's what I say. That's what I'm saying right now. And yeah, no, like I said, I always say, like, I mean, this is such a great month to always tell those scary stories and, let yourself loose. I think one of the things I've seen mentioned about Halloween is it's like one of the few if only non-family orientated holiday. So this is the month where you get to be yourself and do your own thing. You're not expected to like perform for anybody other than yourself. So remember that and converse about it and talk about it and enjoy yourselves.
You heard it here, folks. So check us out on the next week's episode of the Hype Attack podcast. All right, guys, check us out next time. Same hype time,
Same hype channel.
Hype attack.